So you're citing the IAEA, but there's a Director General of the IAEA saying that you're wrong.
Lewis, Iran has been blocking IAEA inspections. Even if Iran had a nuclear weapon with Acme written on it, like in the cartoons we used to watch as kids, the IAEA would miss it. But a little bit of humility
you just
here, okay?
cited the IAEA.
The Syrian regime, Lewis, the IAEA knows that Iran has 400 kilos of highly enriched uranium.
The IAEA correct when they agree with you, but not when they don't.
The IAEA does not have the ability to penetrate the Iranian regime in the way that Israeli intelligence
Then why are you citing?
When an official spokesperson uses an international body as their primary receipt, they count on the host not knowing what that body actually says. Watch what happens when former Israeli government spokesperson Ilan Levy cites the IAEA to justify military action, only to be confronted with the direct words of the IAEA's Director General contradicting his entire premise. I'm Neil. This is the honest perspective, where we demand receipts over rhetoric and hold power accountable. Let's get into it.
But it's worse than that, Lewis, because the Iranian regime, according to the IAEA, already had enough highly enriched uranium for 10 nuclear bombs. That's not Israel. That's the IAEA. There is no possible civilian justification for having uranium at 60% enrichment, which is 99% of the way to weapons grade. Certainly none for having it inside an IRGC base buried deep under a mountain. When the Iranian regime has an open policy of death to Israel and is building the weapons to bring death to Israel, Israel has stepped in to remove that existential threat.
You cite the IAEA, and they themselves have said, as you'll know, this is the IAEA's Rafael Grossi, that's Secretary General. We do not have any proof of any systematic effort by the Iranians to move into a nuclear weapon. Indeed, he said in an interview with CNN just in the last few days that those claiming, which I would assume he would include you in, given what you just said, those claiming to know exact details about Iran moving toward a nuclear weapon are engaging in speculation. So you're citing the IAEA, but there's a Director General of the IAEA saying that you're wrong.
Lewis, Iran has been blocking IAEA inspections.
It takes a special kind of hubris to cite an agency as your proof, and then, within 15 seconds, attack that exact same agency the moment their real findings are read back to you. Levy wants you to treat the IAEA as an authoritative source when it comes to uranium stock numbers, but the second IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi confirms there is no proof of a systematic weaponization effort. Suddenly, the IAEA is incompetent and blind. You cannot have it both ways.
Even if Iran had a nuclear weapon with Acme written on it, like in the cartoons we used to watch as kids, the IAEA would miss it. But a little bit of humility
you just
here,
cited the IAEA.
The Syrian regime, Lewis, the IAEA knows that Iran has 400 kilos of highly enriched uranium.
The IAEA correct when they agree with you, but not when they don't.
The IAEA does not have the ability to penetrate the Iranian regime in the way that Israeli intelligence
Then why are you citing them when they support what you agree with?
Because the evidence is there for everyone to see.
Right.
The weaponization is not something the IAEA would pick up on because its inspectors aren't allowed into Iran's facilities. Lewis, a little bit of humility. In 2007, the Syrian regime was building a nuclear reactor. The United States didn't know about it until Israel told it, and the United Kingdom didn't know about it until Israel bombed it. But the red line of a decision to build nuclear weapons is already too late. You can criticize Israel for acting too late, definitely not too early, because there is no wiggle room to wake up one morning and find out that the Iranian regime has already assembled a nuclear bomb, with, I'll remind you, no possible civilian justification for 400 kilos of enriched uranium at 60%.
So we just have to trust you. We just have to trust your government.
Is military.
We just have to trust your government.
Notice the sudden shift from citing official international monitoring to demanding blind faith in state intelligence agencies. When the external receipts fail to support the narrative, the defense collapses into, just trust our government. But as the interview demonstrates, demanding unquestioned trust requires completely ignoring the track record of those same intelligence claims over time.
Lewis, the only possible reason to have 400 kilos of highly enriched uranium is because it's a nuclear weapons
Do you understand?
Program. The only possible reason to dig a nuclear facility under a mountain inside a revolutionary
But the
guard
US
base
itself
is
said,
because it's a nuclear weapons
Tulsi
program.
Gabbard, as you know, itself said, no one may doubt that the Iranians may have nefarious intentions. But the big question here is as to whether how imminent it was that they may obtain a nuclear weapon. And as you yourself know, Tulsi Gabbard herself had said that there was no prospect of that happening imminently. So ultimately, you started your answer to my question by saying Israeli intelligence thinks this. You're asking us to believe your government and what it says. Do you understand why many people in the UK and around the world, given the Israeli government actions since what has happened with Gaza in particular, have trouble to credit that idea?
Lewis, the Iranian regime has a nuclear weapons program because it has enriched uranium to a level that can only be justified for nuclear weapons.
Those claiming to know exact details about Iran moving toward a nuclear weapon are engaging in speculation. That is what the director of the IAEA has said.
Because Israel has no room for wriggle room. The Iranian
so we have to trust you.
Is openly sworn to Israel's destruction. During the negotiations, the Iranian regime leader was tweeting that Israel must be destroyed while enriching uranium, that the only possible thing you can do with it is nuclear weapons. We don't have the luxury to wait to find out that tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they're going to have a nuclear weapon. Israel is operating here at the last possible minute because the Iranian regime was enriching uranium to a level that could only be used for nuclear weapons. And I think the United Kingdom, whose approach to diplomacy has failed, should show a little bit of humility and thank its ally in the Middle East for eliminating the threat of Iranian nuclear weapons.
This exchange lays bare a persistent rhetorical pattern in Middle East defense commentary. Ilan Levy insists that the international community must bow to Israeli intelligence assessments as absolute truth. Yet, when confronted with explicit statements from the IAEA leadership stating that claims of imminent weaponization are speculation, the argument pivots from factual verification to emotional guilt-tripping. The fundamental problem with demanding absolute, unquestioned trust in state intelligence claims is that intelligence agencies are political instruments, not neutral arbiters. We saw this exact dynamic play out in the run-up to the 2003 invasion of Iraq, where intelligence assessments were cherry-picked, amplified, or distorted to justify a predetermined military outcome. When a spokesperson argues that international inspectors would miss a nuclear weapon even if it had Acme written on it, they are effectively admitting that no amount of international monitoring or diplomatic verification will ever satisfy their criteria for war. Furthermore, asking the public to accept state intelligence without question ignores the reality of recent history. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly claimed that Iran was months or years away from a nuclear weapon in speeches dating back to the 1990s and early 2000s. When a warning is repeated continuously for decades to justify foreign policy decisions, it stops being a sober assessment and becomes a permanent political justification. International law and global security cannot operate on the principle that one nation's intelligence apparatus overrides established international monitoring bodies whenever the findings prove inconvenient. If the IAEA's data matters when it measures uranium enrichment levels, then the IAEA's formal conclusion, that there is no verified evidence of systematic weaponization, must carry equal weight. Selective credibility isn't journalism or statecraft, it's propaganda. If you believe in holding public figures to their own sources, verifying claims before taking action, and putting truth above official access, subscribe to The Honest Perspective. I'm Neil. Demand receipts, challenge the narrative. That's The Honest Perspective, and that's where I'll leave you.